I am so thrilled that you choose to click on this broadcast. Welcome. My name is Judy Daniel Imagoro, and it is Enjoying Marital Bliss. And today I want to share with you on a very powerful topic is on how you can ensure peace in your home and have a successful marriage. And before we go deeply into that topic, I want to remind you, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow and like me on Facebook and on Instagram at Judith Imagoro Ministries. And I tell you, if you are this person who loves the Word of God very deep, very impactful, and you want to learn how to have a beautiful relationship and a beautiful marriage, this is a channel for you. So please don't forget to subscribe and also partner with me by sharing this broadcast today with your friends and your family. And thank you for that partnership. And now we're going deeper into this topic on ways you can ensure peace and have a successful marriage. Number one, be a responsible person. Be a responsible person. To build a successful and a peaceful home, it has to start from you. You have to be a responsible person because what you do have a way of imparting what your spouse do. Everything that you see your spouse do somehow is a reflection of you. Some of them are a reflection of you. So you have to know that marriage is not for children, it's not for lazy people, but it's for responsible people. And when you're responsible, that is the way that you can build a successful home. If you desire a peaceful relationship, if you desire a peaceful marriage, you have to be accountable. That's one of the meaning of being responsible. You have to be accountable. You cannot build peace with an irresponsible attitude. Like I hear a lot of people will say, why should I tell her everywhere I go? Why should you not tell her? You have to be accountable. That's what responsibility is about. And the moment you're responsible is spread to your other partner. So it's very important that we know that you have to be responsible. You have to be accountable. Why? You are under obligation to do that because you chose to add another person to you, or you choose to be married to someone, to a man. So therefore, you are under obligation to be responsible. God is responsible. That's why his kingdom remains forever. So every couple who want to have a sustainable marriage have to learn to be responsible. Is a very strong key to do that. So that's my number one key. Learn to be responsible. No peaceful marriage can be built on a selfish attitude. So you have to be selfless. You have to be responsible for the other party. You have to be responsible for your wrongs. There are a lot of people who make mistakes. They are not responsible for it. They don't own up to their wrong. And because you're not responsible for the things you do, you think by somehow you can sweep it under the carpet. It will keep bringing issues in your home. So if you make mistake, be responsible. If you make commitment to your marriage, then be responsible. To, be committed, to be accountable for your relationship. The reason why people will leave their spouse and go out and go and spend time with other people or other women in relationship, it shows that they are not responsible. If you were responsible, you would not do that because you've made a commitment and you stand by your commitment. So that's the first key if you want to build a peaceful home. And then number two, which is very important, is to imitate the prototype. Imitate the prototype. Marriage was spiritually designed, but is earthly consummated. So marriage is very spiritual, but earthly consummated. I want you to know that what God was looking for when he created a man and a woman's union, he was looking for a platform where he can form an agreement. He was looking for a platform where agreement can be established in a form of a prototype to what he have in heaven. Why was he looking for that? Because he wanted the couples to be able to dominate and have control and succeed in whatsoever they choose to do. So he was looking for a prototype. So in order for you to succeed in marriage, you must imitate the prototype. It is spiritually designed, is from God. It was not picked from the earth. So if you must have success in your marriage, you must look upward. You must think, what was God looking for? How was this designed and what was it designed for? I want you to know, as a human being, you are a three-party being. You are a spirit, you possess a soul, and you live in a body. And what God is looking for in your marriage is also to have these three forms of agreement. You agree spiritually, you agree emotionally where the soul is, and then you agree bodily. Why? Because he's a three-party being. So if you are able to agree in those three forms, and him who is a three-party being too, also in your union, then it's become impossible for peace not to be in your home. It becomes impossible for you not to succeed. The reason why a lot of marriages are failing is because they don't understand that marriage is spiritual and that there is a prototype. And until they see that prototype and live in the example or in the model of the prototype, there is no way they can have a successful home. If you are able to agree in these three forms, you find out you have a platform where you can raise, for instance, a very successful generation, which is your children, because your heaven will be an imitation. Your marriage will be an imitation of heaven, because that's how God wants it. And then, I want to share this. I'll stop with this number 2, but I want to share with you. A lot of people feel that Jesus did not get married on the earth, and so therefore they don't know how he would have treated it. Now, we know that Jesus is a leader. He is a leader then and now. He's a master, and he showed us the example of how he led. And I want to share this with you. This will speak more to the men in the marriage. And then in part 2, which is next Saturday, I will talk on the other part of this topic. So number 1, how did Jesus lead? Which is the prototype that I'm sharing, a part of the prototype. That first, Jesus was the one that chose his disciples. So in establishing a marriage, establishing an institution between a man and a woman, first and foremost, the leader would have to be the one to choose the person to partner with. It is your choice. And that's why God he didn't give a wife anymore. He wants you to choose it, because that's how a leader behaves. So your parents should not choose a wife for you. People should not choose a wife for you. You choose a wife for yourself. That's one of the key that Jesus have left, and one of the prototype you must follow. Number 2, Jesus was a responsible leader. So from the time he chose his disciples, he became absolutely responsible for them. So as a man who is trying to imitate the prototype, you have to be responsible. There was a situation where even Peter's mother-in-law was sick. Jesus went there and ensured that, she recovered. That being responsible for everything that has to do with them. Now, being responsible does not mean you have to be wealthy. There was situations where the Bible stated where the disciples were hungry and they began to pluck wheat from the farm. But when the people rose up and said, no, this was not lawful, Jesus stood up for them. So it's not like he was able to provide for them every time, but there was that responsibility that he carried. So as a leader, the prototype says that being a leader is not to be bossy. The moment you're a leader, you are called into a life, a business of sacrifice. That's what you're called into. You are to sacrifice, you are to care, you are to love, you are to be concerned. That's the prototype. Number 3, there was never interference at any point that Jesus allowed. So if you're following the prototype, you should never allow interference of any form into your home. There was a time that Jesus' mother and his brothers were looking for him. Jesus looked around and said, who are my disciples? Who are my family? They are this one that I've chosen, the ones that are with me. So there was no interference of any form. If you must have a peaceful and a successful home, you have to follow that prototype, which is what Jesus did. No interference of any form from anywhere. Number 4, Jesus operated in equality. Your wife by any means is not inferior to you. It came to a point, Jesus said, I do no longer call you servants, but I call you friends. For servant does not know what the master is doing. So you see that he operated, he was the master, he was the leader, he was God on the earth, but yet he operated in equality. So the prototype talked about leadership, not you're a leader, but yet the people you are leading are not inferior to you. So as a husband, your wife is not inferior to you. So it's very important. Number 5, Jesus cared. He cared for, he was a person, it was recorded several times in the Bible where you could see his compassion move because he cared. So you have to be a leader who care by all means. That is the prototype. Number 6, he demonstrated leadership by service. He said, if I be the master and I wash the disciples' feet, I wash your feet. He said, you ought to wash one another's feet. So what he demonstrated was leadership by service, not leadership by oppression. There are a lot of men all over the world oppressing their spouse. That's not how to be a leader. That's not following the prototype at all. So he made you the head, he made you the leader, and he's showing you what leadership is. Leadership is not oppression. Leadership is for you to serve. You're called to serve the moment you are a leader. Then number 7, Jesus loved his disciples to the end. To the very end, he loved them. He cared for them. He taught them. He was a leader to the end. So as a leader in the family, that's who you're supposed to be. You lead to the end. You're responsible to the end. You love to the end. There were a lot of times where the behavior of the disciples didn't add up, but he kept loving them. Just like we're here on the earth, there are a lot of times where our behavior does not add up. He loved no matter what happened. So if you want to follow the prototype as a man, you know that you are called to a life of sacrifice. As a woman, you are called to a life of honor. If we will all follow the prototype that Jesus left behind and the example of heaven and what God is expecting from our home, there is no way there will not be peace in your home. So I want you to remember what God was looking for when he created marriage. He was looking for a platform where agreement can take place, knowing that that's the only way you can reign and you can rule. And that's the only way you can have peace. So I will stop here today and I will continue next week to talk about ways you can build and ensure a peaceful marriage. And I thank you so much for watching this broadcast. I will want you to please share this with your friends and your family. It will help someone. Somebody around you might just need this message today that will bring about, revival and peace in their home. So be that person, be that hand that shared with them. And as you do that, God bless you. And thank you again for joining Enjoy Marriage.